Stephen Street on the 27th of August 1976. It's been in continuous use since then as a personnel carrier for the Permanent Way Department, often coupled to one or more trailers to carry tools and equipment to work sites. It's just had a repaint, and unfortunately not on the side you can see, but on the other side it's gained a Freightliner branding. I think that may have something to do with a certain driver that we have here. I also noticed it's acquired a tops number of 66532. That is a very, very recent addition. It should not be underlined in your ABC, as it's not the genuine article. So here we are, DS3320, Wickham Type 27A, Mark III personnel trolley. Work South East livery with ride rail brandings, and it's christened as Lala. So if you hear anybody on the railway talk about Lala, this is it. Re-entered service in January 2011. Now Lala is a unidirectional vehicle, the same as the little Wickham trolley, which means it can only be driven from one end. However, unlike the Wickham, which has to go one way or the other, Lala has an inbuilt turntable, and so it can stop, lower the turntable and do a neat ballet pirouette before carrying on in the opposite direction. Now if everything goes according to plan, I think a small demonstration of that is about to take place. So over to you, Dave. I don't think that'll ever quite match Darcy Bustle on stage, but nevertheless it just shows progress with Permanent Way vehicles. Of course they're far more sophisticated nowadays, but here in the Isle of Wight Steam Railway we like old things, probably one of the reasons I'm here. Anyway, that's a little pirouette there, and we're going to endeavour to repeat that pirouette once it gets just down into the station limits there. I'll give instructions to the driver as he comes down. To save having to light up the steam engine especially. We also looked for a vehicle which has train air brakes so that we could use it as what is nowadays termed a Thunderbird locomotive to rescue a steam engine in the very unlikely event of a failure in section. After looking at various locomotives, T2059 was selected, having been repaired and repainted for an open day by British Railways in Colchester. Arrived at Hayden Street on the 4th of November 1988. T2059 is a regular performer on shunting and engineering of works trains, as well as masquerading as the Farquhar Quarry Mavis during Days Out with Thomas events. She carries the unlined BR black livery as applied to most of these small. We do think that Oxfordshire in 1961. She was taken out of storage and restored and renovated and sent to the Marchwood Military Railway at the port of Southampton, where she worked between 1974 and 1979, hauling inspection trains, passenger vehicles around the port's railway installation. She then retired and sent up to the National Army Museum at Beverley in Yorkshire. She was placed on loan to the Isle of Wight Steam Railway, arriving on the 26th of February 2005, where she was overhauled, fitted with air brakes to enable her to haul passenger trains, and entered Isle of Wight Steam Railway traffic in May of that year. Along with number 198 Royal Engineer, a sister type locomotive, which is on view in the main engineering yard, and the little diesel 235, ownership of all three locomotives was transferred to the Isle of Wight Steam Railway for the ceremony on the 26th of May 2008. Not often anybody's lucky to be given not just one locomotive but three, one diesel and two steam locomotives, and we are very, very grateful. And when she came back to the UK, she was put to work at Llandarcy Refinery near Swansea. When she was redundant there, she was sold to the Stanton Ironworks at Sheffield. And then, as British Steel came into being, she was further transferred to the Harloxton Ironstone Quarries near Grantham in Lincolnshire, where she ended her days. She was withdrawn in 1968 and purchased by a gentleman, Mr. Henry Frampton Jones, who placed her on loan to the fledgling steam railway in 1972. Nothing was done to her for about 20 years. Then we decided that we ought to do a little bit of work, but of course the locomotive did not belong to the steam railway, and we were reluctant to spend money on something which was not our property without a good working agreement. Agreement was reached and work started, and during the course of the overhaul we negotiated with Mr. Frampton Jones the first locomotive of the imported types to receive a name under the new Southern Railway policy of naming the island locomotives after local places. This is when she gained her name Freshwater. In 1932 she was rebuilt from A1 class to A1X, which meant she had a slightly larger boiler with an extended smoke box, and it was at this time that she gained her number 8, number 2 being required for newly imported E1 class locomotives. Freshwater stayed on the island until the 4th of May 1949, when she was sent back to the mainland, overhauled at Eastleigh, gained the number she would have done had she stayed on the mainland many, many years ago. She became 32646, lost her name, and sent to Bratton Shed at Portsmouth for service on the Hayling Island branch. When the Hayling Island line closed, Freshwater was withdrawn on the 9th of November 1963 and was sold to the Saddler for electrification works trains during the early part of 1967, being withdrawn in March when the electric services started. The purchase was concluded on the 22nd of May 1967 at Ryde St John's Road, by which time the track at Smallbrook Junction had been taken out. So by good fortune, a suitable lorry was on the island in the summer, and on the 15th of August she was transferred from Ryde to Newport to join the fledgling Steam Railway's selection of carriages. When we were given notice to quit our Newport site, on the 24th of January 1971, Calbourne was the locomotive which hauled all of the stock in 4 separate trains from Newport to Haven Street. She kept us going for the first year. After that, she was withdrawn for major overhaul. Been a stalwart over the years. But like anything that's of that age, she's starting to wear out. by 2002 she was in need of a major O-tours, withdrawn from traffic. But with the help of a very generous Heritage Lottery grant, a lot of boiler and firebox repairs were undertaken by watermen's at Crewe, and she triumphantly re-entered traffic on the 3rd of August 2010 in the livery that most people will probably remember the O2s, line BR black. In this case, the early BR symbol on her tank side, and to complement that, our bogie coaching stock is also in a selection of liveries of that era.